every query raised satisfactorily because it was done. Access was granted, that's why comments were made. If access was denied, there would have been no comment. Thank you, my lords, my ladies.
If it may please you, the Honorable the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, and other distinguished members of the Supreme Court. My name is Emmanuel Wetangula. I will be presenting our observations on behalf of IEBC with regard to the scrutiny and the recount that took place on the 31st and yesterday, my Lord. First and foremost, I'd like to thank members of the judiciary who took part in this exercise. It's the most tedious and laborious jobs, and not the most, and most people actually opted to run away. And even in the submissions which I'm about to make before the court today, it will be quite notable that none of my colleagues have addressed the pertinent issue. All the results in the boxes matched the results that have been declared by IEBC and the results that were used to declare the President under Article 138.10. And I'll simply give one example. The application for scrutiny was given by the petitioners, and they identified the stations that they wanted. If this was to be a sample of the entire election, the report bears out the fact that out of the 45 polling stations that were counted, there was no variance of results in the 40 stations, 40 of the polling stations. The report clearly shows that there is no variance of the results with that which was contained in Form 34A. But most importantly, my lady and my lord, there were slight errors which will arise, and it always arises in every election. It's typical to human error. And even to point out this fact, my lord, I was reading the report that was prepared by the Honorable Deputy Registrar. It also has a slight error. And that error was corrected today when it was sent an addendum correcting a mistake that had been done. Number two, my lady and my lords, at page 31, you will note that there's a slight typographical error regarding the date of the election. It's indicated as 8 August 2017. A normal error that any human being will make. But if it was the petitioners, I'm sure they will pray that the entire report be disregarded. But my lord, the most important thing is the environment under which elections take place is a very tense situation. And many a times, slight mistakes will occur. For instance, the sealing of documents, the misplacement of one or two things. The only complaint I've had my learned colleagues, Mr. Awele, complain about Ms. Mboshe and Mr. Willis Otieno. It's about material not being placed in envelopes. But of utmost importance is having been present with every ballot that was counted, it tallies with what was given to each of the candidates. But most importantly, the allegation the petitioners have made and have been running around with is that election results were being taken from one candidate and being added to another. That fact was not proven. This is their case. And if at all there was any variance in the results, I believe Mr. Willis Otieno would have sung for us a new song today, but he didn't. And that confirms that actually the results are believable. And my lords, these are the results that were transmitted through the results transmission system, first and foremost, having been final. Secondly, these were the results that were physically delivered by the returning officers to the tallying center at Bomas. And my lord, if the registrar confirms that from the boxes that the court has sampled, there's absolutely no variance, then we wonder what the complaint is. The slight variances or slight mistakes that were noted, which I will just highlight one of them, that one of the parties picked up on. This is number 38 on the list of the polling stations, Kiheo Primary School. One of my colleagues for the petitioners made reference to it. despite the absence of the counterfoils, but each of the ballots present matched with the result that was declared for each of the candidates. I wonder how accurate an election can get if this is not it. But mistakes will always happen. And even in the report that is before us, we have noted that actually mistakes actually do happen, and they happen all the time. There was something else that the parties were supposed to deliver, that is IEBC, which was Form 34A. My Lord, a sufficient volume was delivered to the court. I'll just confirm how many there were. There are 32 volumes of Form 32As which have been availed to the court. My Lord, there's also the error form, 3 volumes which have been availed to the court for scrutiny, signed by the chair. These are the errors that were noted during the verification and tallying. And lastly, my lady and my lords, before the time runs out, Book 2 of Form 34A. Some of it was found in the ballot boxes during the scrutiny, but some of the boxes did not contain, and it's borne out in the report. But the purpose of printing this booklet is actually known to all the players. My lady, my time has run out. I'll just request for 2 minutes to finalize my point, and I'll be done. Thank you. My lady, with regard to Form 34A, Book 2, the purpose why an extra copy was printed, and it's known to the petitioners, but they will not tell this honorable court, was that at any time sufficient copies of the forms will be available to the agents, candidates, and the media. This is to ensure that the results that were being declared at the polling stations being final were transparent and known to everybody. But a contest arose, and a decision was made by the chairman of the IEBC that this material was to be sealed and placed in the ballot boxes. As it will happen, in some of the boxes, and the report will bear it out, some of the forms are not there. And even the report will bear it out that some of the presiding officers made mistakes in Book 1. They cancelled it and utilized Book 2, but still the result did not change. What is important and material is, from the scrutiny that was undertaken until very early hours of yesterday morning, the result matches what is contained in Form 34A. And my Lord, those Form 34As have been availed to the court pursuant to the rules of the Supreme Court, and they are the forms that were used to declare the results of the election upon the completion of the exercise. Similarly, these are the same forms that were transmitted through the results transmission system, and they match each and every other form that was given. Lastly, and very lastly, there was in one station in Kakamega where the Form 32As were not availed, and affidavits to that effect have been given, and the reason is that because of an outbreak of violence, the affidavits will bear it out. With those few remarks, my lady and my lords, Professor Mugai is asking for a donation of the time, but he has run out. Thank you very much.